Please say 3 times together. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, month of November is also over. And now it has come to the last month. When we started, we thought we have a long time. But in reality, life is changing faster. And time is passing. Whatever the time that you pass, so you can't bring it back. Then is it online? Yeah. All right. So, so time is passing, and you can't bring that time back. Each and every moment. So you let your life go. When we celebrate birthdays, right? We celebrate and we say happy birthday to you, and we become so happy that we reach that age. But there is one thing that you don't remind to yourself, that when you are celebrating your birthday, you have become old from what? So that's the truth. And the year that has already gone, you can't bring it back. Whatever you could do during that year, it's gone. Right? So that's why we always have to haste. And at the same time, that's why we have to manage the time. In life, we don't have a lot of time. As I always mention, half of our life we sleep. When we are a baby, we slept a lot. And when we are old, we will sleep a lot too. So if we live 100 years, only 50 years, you will actually live. All the other times you will dream and you will sleep, right? So from within that small period of time too, so you will spend a lot of time to do various kind of other things. So you have to spend some time for studies, you have to allocate some time for your jobs, right? And sometimes weddings happen, funerals happen, so suddenly accidents happen. You have to allocate time so to be with you. So you have only limited time. And at the same time, whatever things that you gathered within this limited period of time, we think the material things are the best things, because we can see the material things even though they are the least powerful things. But we give most of our remaining life to accumulate. But they are the first things that you let go. Spirituality, inner spiritual growth is the thing that will go with you. But that is the part that you allocate time the least. So many people, they die without understanding the life. Sometimes I have seen, we have felt so pitiful, because there are some people who, even when they reach their old age, they don't realize. So the spirituality is the most important thing. So I have seen some people who reach 80 years. So they were doing plastic surgery to stay beautiful. They haven't, even after living 8 years, they haven't understood the life. This is real. This is real. That lady has spent $70,000 to make the face beautiful, right? So, but Yeah, that's how people are. We need to understand, even though whatever things that you do, finally you have to leave all these material. And at the same time, there is another life waiting. So you will only take the spiritual development, the spiritual development that you will develop in this life. You will only take your good karmas and your bad karmas. So as wise people, as much as possible. So while living a comfortable means a contented life. Here, you have to develop your inner spirituality. You have to accumulate as much as good karma, and you have to let go. Should not accumulate bad karmas. So I'm glad, even though such kind of people are the least minorities, smallest minority in the world, I'm glad that all of you are a few of them. And I'm grateful that I met all of you, right? Because Buddha always say, association of noble friends. So, association of noble friends is a blessing. So, uh, so it's a blessing. It's a blessing. So somehow we are now moving forward. Today I'm going to teach you about how to feel the loving kindness. So sometimes we can get, we can misunderstand the loving kindness. We can misunderstand the loving kindness for desire. So for an example, let's say there is a boy who is well dressed, very cute, right? Beautiful boy. And there is another boy who is not well dressed, who is with stinky dress, a stinky dress, who has not bathed for so many days, right? And who looks so ugly. So now imagine. So when you see the beautiful child, you develop. So you like that book, and you can easily well wish for that book, right? And you like to cuddle, and you like to say nice words for that this boy. And when it comes to this boy, so if you don't feel the very same feelings, just like towards this boy, then that's not loving kindness. You're not developing loving kindness. So you should, just like towards this boy, you should be able to feel the same feelings towards this, same positive feeling towards this boy too, right? So there is no any up or down, similar, equal. You should have loving kindness towards both of them. If you feel like that, that is the emotion of loving kindness. So if you feel all those kinds of nice emotions towards this boy, and if you hate this boy, so so the good-looking boy, and if you hate that ugly, stinky boy, then you are developing desire. You are developing desire, not loving kindness. So inside, what is growing is desire. So that is not loving kindness. Loving kindness is having a, a, a positive mindset, a, um, a balanced, a kind mindset, an equanimous mindset towards all the beings, towards all the beings. So it is not easy. It is not an easy feeling to develop. So at once, when you started loving kindness, I didn't say this, but so we have to distinguish loving kindness from desire. Desire is not loving kindness. So whenever you develop it towards the other people, it's not that much easy. So towards parents, to a certain extent, we can. Towards the relatives and friends, to a certain extent, we can. But it's hard to spread it towards the neutral people, and at the same time towards the enemies. So you have to practice gradually. So at first it'll come out uh, not as a strong feeling, but as a small feeling, small emotion. But later on, you are the one who has to develop it by practicing it gradually, little by little. So when there is a fire, so if there is a little fire, if you add more fuel, that fire is bound to grow. Just like that, the loving kindness is the same. When it comes as a very small emotion, you are the one who can practice more and more and develop it further on, right? So please practice like that. If you feel like that you don't have the original loving kindness, that emotion, so then before you practice meditation, please think about a puppy who is very stinky, which doesn't have any hair on its body, and who is very stinky, no hair, and old, and such kind of a very ugly looking dog. Then by mind, imagine you go towards that dog. So it's hard. It's not easy to practice. Then, so by mind, imagine you console that dog, saying, "Don't worry, I'll take care of you. Be well. I will take nice care of you. You'll be fine." Then after that, imagine you feel it, right? You feel while seeing that ugly body, stinkiness, all kinds of ulcers around the body, you feel it, right? And you take good care of it, and you console it like that. So when at such kind of occasions, sometimes you will feel you will be able to find out your thoughts of love and kindness. So gradually let it grow up, but later on, it can. So when it grows further and further, so it can glow your whole body. It can glow your whole mind. That means glow means it can brighten, it can shine. So you can't. Sometimes you feel it too more than you. The other people will notice that, right? So please develop such kind of a loving kindness within, and then we have to understand in this whole world, all the beings, they don't like suffering. They all like to live in comfort. So even though there are certain people that you don't like, so certain people, because of certain actions, they might have become enemies for us. We might consider them as enemies. But really, inside them, there is no any enemy. So because of that particular action, though you don't like, you hate that person. But there is also a person who did certain kind of a thing during a certain kind of an occasion that he or she couldn't control. So the negativities took over that person and that person did that particular thing. First thing that you should do is you should feel pity, right? So they are just like us. So they are just like us. So since they couldn't practice these kinds of techniques, so they couldn't come out of it. They lived with their own mind frame, and during that particular time, they acted. That person or they acted on those feelings. That's why they did that wrong. But that person, for eyes, that person is an enemy. But we have to understand only our viewpoint made him or her the enemy. That person also has friends. There are certain people who see that 20 person as a friend. There are people who see that 20 person as a relative. There are people who see that person as a good person. So if it happens so what is wrong is our viewpoint. So there is no any enemy inside that person. So let go such kind of feelings with hate, feelings with grudge. So it's not easy to, but try. And then you will be able to control your mind and should develop, you should be able to develop loving kindness towards such kind of people. When you gain the ability to spread loving kindness towards your enemies, just like towards your parents, towards your sons or daughters, that is the time, that is the ultimate stage of loving kindness that you attain, right? So gradually, first of all, let it come up and keep on developing that loving kindness within. We have to understand, always loving kindness doesn't discriminate. Let it be a person from Asia, Africa, or so Europe or Americas, it doesn't matter. Whether that person is beautiful or not beautiful, that doesn't matter. When there is loving kindness, it doesn't matter. Whether that person is clever or not clever, that doesn't matter. Whether that person is educated or not educated, that doesn't matter. So you share your loving kindness with all beings equally, right? You should feel all the beings with equality. So when you reach that level, that is the pure loving kindness, right? So please practice like that. And right. So now everyone, please keep your back straight. Neck straight. Head straight. Please keep your right palm on your left arm. And everyone, please close your eyes. First of all, I am going to pay our respect to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha out of gratitude. Then after that, we are going to practice first, loving kindness together. Namo tase bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. Namo tase bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. Namo tase bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. Itimiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho viññācarane sampanno sugato lokamilo anuttaro purisa dhamma sārati sattā deva manusānam buddho bhagavāti Swakato bhagavata dhammo sannitiko akaliko ehi pasiko opanaiko paccatang veditammo vinyuhiti supanipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Ujupani panno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Nyāya patipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Sāmīci panipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Yadidam chattari purisa yugani ate purisa puggala esa bhagavato savaka sangu amuneyo pamuneyo Nakineyo Anjali Karaniyo Anuttarang Punyaketang Lokasati Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu. With a very calm mind, with a very quiet mind, with an alert, very attentive mind, with a balanced and a mind with a lot of loving kindness, compassion. Everyone, please start your meditation. Please spread your loving kindness, first of all, towards yourself. Start spreading loving kindness first towards yourself. And then after that, gradually, please spread loving kindness towards the parents. After spreading loving kindness towards parents, please spread it towards the relatives. After spreading it towards the relatives, please spread it towards your friends. After spreading your loving kindness towards the friends, then towards the neutral people. After the neutral people, please think of your enemies and spread loving kindness. And finally, please spread loving kindness towards all the beings. Those who cannot those who cannot remember the whole lines of spreading loving kindness, then you can just turn back towards the regular lines as just like when you spread your loving kindness towards yourself, you will think, may I be well, may I be happy, may I be peaceful. And then after that, towards the other people too, please do the same. But if you can remember the lines, then make sure that you spread loving kindness towards all those groups, towards yourself, then towards parents, then towards teachers, then relatives, friends, neutral people, then enemies, and finally towards all the beings gradually. So everyone, please start your loving kindness meditation. May your meditation be very, very successful. Very, very successful. Please start the meditation right now. Bhavetu Sambe Mangalam Rakantu Sambe Divatam Samme Buddhanubhavine Sada Sutti Bhavantuti Bhavetu Sambe Mangalam Rakantu Sampeti Vetam Samme Dhammanupavine Sada Sutti Pavantuti Bhavetu Sambe Mangalam Rakantu Sampeti Vetam Samme Sanghanupavine Sada Sutti Pavantuti. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now everyone very calmly and quietly and peacefully. Please open your eyes slowly and let your whole body to relax. Top to bottom, bottom to top. Let your whole body to relax. Now everyone, please join your palms together. Sadhu. And please say 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So dear Dhamma friends, I hope gradually you are feeling that you are developing and feeling that emotion of loving kindness more and more. So if we have loving kindness within, it's easier to deal with people around you, right? So so when the other people do wrong things, so in the foolish, there are 3 kinds of people: the foolish person, and the general person, and at the same time who has developed this loving kindness meditation. So when the other people do wrong actions, for the foolish person, so it becomes, that memory becomes something like which is carved on a rock. So there are rock inscriptions, right? So for thousands of years, they stay. Just like that, for the foolish person, whenever something bad happened to that person, it stays in that person's mind for many years, right? So then that person cannot forgive. So that person seeks revenge. Why? It is there and keeps on popping. For the general person who doesn't practice loving kindness meditation, it is just like something so which was drawn on the sand, on the so on the on the earth, on the soil. So it stays, but gradually, after some time, that person let it go. So for the person who is practicing loving kindness, it is something like it is just like a line which was drawn on water. Right away, it goes up. Whenever something good was done towards you, again it goes the opposite direction. When you do a good thing for the foolish person, it is just like a line which was drawn on water. Done. Forget very fast. Right? For the general person, it is just like something which was drawn again on the soil. For some time it stays, but at the end they forget. For the person who practices loving kindness, it is just like something which was carved on the stone. Even a small thing. So that person keeps gratitude and makes that a reason to share loving kindness. Let me tell you a story. Story means incident which happened 2000 years ago during the Buddhist time. I don't know whether I shared this story. Once there was one old Brahmin who was 100 plus years old. So he was a very poor person who was homeless. So he wanted to become a monk. So when an old person become a monk, so the teacher has to take care of the student. Normally the opposite happens. The student has to take care of the teacher. But when an old person becomes your student, you have to take, if the teacher is young, he or she has to take care of that old person. So his name was Radha. And so when at that is part. So when he wanted to become a monk, so so the Buddha couldn't let everybody to take his responsibility. So Buddha asked all the Bhantes who were in front of the Buddha, from all of them, Buddha asked whether there is anyone who got any help from this old person, this Radha. If it is so, that Bhante can make this Radha your student. Then at that time there was this Bhante called Sariputta in that gathering. But Sariputta, who was a great monk, he remembered one day so it is the tradition of Buddhist monks. So nowadays, so it is not happening in USA, but in Asia. Here too, we do occasionally. So we go on house rounds. We go with the bowl, asking for enough food. So whenever we get enough food, we come back. So that is the tradition. So during an alms round, this poor Radha, this old Radha, offered 1 spoon of rice. 1 spoon. He didn't have any much. He also depended on the other people. But whenever he got some, he offered 1 spoon of rice to Bhante Sariputta. Bhante Sariputta had that in his memory. He said right away, since I got that, I will be his teacher. Bhante Radha became the student of Bhante Sariputta, like that. So those who have loving kindness, whenever you do a good thing towards them, they remember, just like just like a line which was carved on the stone, right? So the people with loving kindness are that much grateful, right? So because they understand, to develop such kind of a positive thought, it's not easy. It's hard. So if all the beings in the world have loving kindness, we don't need these big missiles, these So T47 and M116 and all those, the big tanks. So T54 and such kind of big tanks. We don't need them. No need of these nuclear bombs, right? So, but it is not like that. So most of the beings. So since we have a lot of negativity, so we don't work most of the time with loving kindness. Instead, we allow our negativities to conquer us, overpower us, and we work with those negative emotions. So we need all those kinds of with us. So whenever there, so we were talking about houses. So all of us when we go to settle in certain areas, we always check what is the best area. So if we say, okay, you can go and live in Auckland, everybody will frown and will say something else. So Bhante, are you really telling me to go to Auckland? So yeah, so I don't see Auckland is there. My bad. So somehow, so there are stuff. So and if we say, okay, you can come and settle down in Santa Clara, you like it. Why is that? Because whenever there is an area where people live with similar attitudes, we like that area. Because within that area, we think all the people or majority of the people develop similar kind of attitude, similar kind of mentality, similar kind of thoughts. That's why we like that particular area. Not only because they have facilities. So we like that area because we think that is a safe area, since the people think in a positive way. So whenever you develop loving kindness, so it always affects your environment too. So if you live at the house, so when you live at the house and when you practice loving kindness, if the others also feel the same, it becomes a house of loving kindness. All of them, all the family members, they live with smiles, they live with nice look. So sharing nice looks towards each other, nice words towards each other, nice actions towards each other. So, and let's say there is a person who has strong influence. So that person is not a person who will easily, even though that person feels all those positivities, let's say there is a huge tendency in that person to do negative actions. Even though that person does negative actions, the family members won't get affected because of the power of the others' loving kindness. Because they don't consider it too much. They let it go. They try to correct that person, but if that person doesn't correct, they let it go. But they don't develop hate, right, towards each other. And then, if there is a workplace, that workplace becomes a beautiful place. Why? So, because of that person with loving kindness, that place, starts to vibrate with loving kindness. So all of the co-workers feel it, and whenever that person is around, so they share similar kinds of thoughts, right? And again, there may be people who have big tendencies to think negatively. but still that won't affect. Why? Because of the power of loving kindness. So similarly, it happens to the area too. When people think nicely, when people live with moral qualities, right? So with compassion towards each other, with loving kindness towards each other, so that area is attracted by the nice people, right? So yeah, that's why we always check for nice areas to live and don't like to go to such kind of areas. So right. So uh, today I'm going to teach you about the very loving kindness. It is also perfection that we need to develop within. So loving kindness as an emotion you can establish in that, right? But as a perfection, to develop it as a perfection, you have to go with it deeper. So you so if you are able to stay with loving kindness, even though you lose material things, then you have the basic level of loving kindness with it. You have developed your loving kindness to the basic level. If you can stay like that, even though you lose various kinds of material things, if you can stay with the loving kindness, so you are an attainer of the first stage of loving kindness. That means the perfection of love. Then secondly, uh, so sometimes you might so lose your parts of the body, but still you don't hate. Instead, you live with the loving kindness. So that means again, yeah. So you have reached the second level of loving kindness, right? And then after that, so if you have reached to a level of loving kindness, even though your life goes, you stay with the loving kindness. That is the highest level of loving kindness. So that is the utmost level of loving kindness. So let me teach you a story. So again, incident which happened in the past. So there was one hermit called Shanti long time ago. So he lived in Varanasi. So Varanasi earlier it was a kingdom. One day, this uh, this this Shantivadi, this hermit Shantivadi went to Varanasi, and then there was a beautiful garden over there. So what he did, he stayed in that garden. So he stayed in that garden, and then he was meditating. Some of the king, along with several other queens, so he also went to check the city, to have a walk in the city. And they separated somewhere, and the queens met this young, so serene-looking hermit, Shantivadi, and they were listening to this. Then they had a conversation. So Shantivadi, the hermit Shantivadi, he was teaching. He was teaching some dhamma to these queens. So at that time, King Kalabu was a king, and he saw their conversation, and he felt jealous. So then then he said he was so jealous. He was a very jealous person, and he was so furious. So because the the queens were talking to this hermit. So what he did something so that we cannot comprehend. He told because of that fault, because he talked with the king queens. So he told to cut. So cut the part, cut part by part, parts of the body of this hermit Kala. He told to cut that hermit's nose, then after that hands, then after that legs. So the executor did the same. He cut it and he executed, and then now hermit Shantivadi was bleed. At that time, the king went, and then came the prime minister. He saw what this jealous king did. He was so afraid that this powerful hermit might curse the city, and all of them will get the curse, and all of them, something very bad will happen to the city. So he went to the hermit and said, "Please don't curse the city. You can curse the king, but please don't curse the city, because these citizens didn't do anything. So they don't represent the king. So please don't curse them. So I'm very sorry for what this jealous, cruel king did. I will take care of it later." So at that time, this Shantivadi, who was practicing loving kindness. So the very name Shantivadi is, Shanti means patience. So Shanti, that is Pali, and so Shanti means the old version. So Shantivadi means those who talk about, the person who talks about Shanti, peace. So he was practicing with loving kindness meditation. He said that he understands that king did it out of his own negativities, and there is nothing the citizens could do. He said he will die later on, but he has no any negative emotion towards anyone. So he died without any negative emotion. And later on, he was born in a very good way. So like that, so sometimes certain people develop loving kindness to a level, even though the life goes, they stay with the loving kindness. Once Buddha told Bhante. So Buddha told Bhante, so whenever the other people talk bad about the Buddha, Dhamma or Sangha, Buddha means the Buddha, and then Dhamma means Buddha's teachings, the teachings, and then after that Sangha means Bhante. So when they talk bad about them, you should not get angry. If you get angry, that means you are not following my advice. It's hard, but you have to do that. As a Bhante or Bhikkhuni, it should be done. So you have to check whether that is true or not. Let's suppose it's untrue. You can apply it yourself. So that's untrue. It's an untrue. If you can clarify, you clarify. If that person doesn't understand, that's it. That's that person's case. That is not something that's an untruth, and you should not get in, because it's an untruth. Nothing to get in. So if something is true, so you have to correct yourself. So if you see that as factful, you will accept. Yes, that's factful. And if there is something that you can correct, you should correct it. So Buddha said, so you should develop a deep loving kindness towards all the beings. So to an extent that even though someone comes and cuts your hands and legs, you should think, oh, may my loving kindness stay, and may I not develop even one thought of hate towards this particular person. So one is so instructed like that. So that is the perfection of loving kindness. It doesn't mean, so when someone comes and harms you, you stay like a vegetable saying, oh, come and harm me, no one. So, so, recently, at one temple, a group of robbers came. There was one Bhante at the temple. So, and so these robbers, they tried to, they came as some people. So they said one of their relative is sick, so they want to get blessing. So Bhante, out of compassion, opened the door. So they got in and they tried to overpower the Bhante. But they didn't know Bhante is a Kung Fu master. So all 6 robbers were down within few seconds. They ran away with whatever they had. No robbery was done. So, so somehow all the Bhantes are not Kung Fu masters, but somehow, somehow we have to understand. It doesn't mean that you stay just like a vegetable. When you have to take action, you should take action with loving kindness, thinking, may this person not accumulate a bad karma, and at the same time, may this person and me and the others be safe. Right? With that thought, we can take good actions, right action. So, and like that, you make your mind stable with loving kindness. And mentally, physically, and vocally, you should practice at the same time. To reach this level, you have to practice certain actions. Number one, bodily actions that you should practice. So, so these are practices of loving kindness that you can do in your general life, so that you can develop loving kindness within. Loving kindness is not only an emotion you should develop within, you have to act with that emotion. So here, Buddha teaches how we can share it with the others. So practical. So there are certain people who can't clean their bodies. You help them to clean. These are physical actions, right? Physical acts of loving kindness. You help them to clean their bodies. So if you had kids, you practice these actions of loving kindness. For them, you bathed and if you did all those things, so you did it out of loving kindness. So cleaning the bodies, then cleaning the dresses, and cleaning the residences. So let's say you have a bad roommate, always keeps everything everywhere. So then sometimes you get angry and you think, what kind of roommate I do have? Thinking instead of thinking like that and growing it, think, oh, I can, how wonderful that I have such kind of a roommate. Let me this is a great opportunity to practice loving kindness. So let me clean this room on behalf of this person too. You can think like that. And then helping the patients. So there are certain patients who can't go to doctors. You help them to go to doctor. There are certain patients who don't have enough money to buy medication. You help them. So like that. And if you can attend, you attend. And then for all people, for feeble people, for helpless people, you can help in these ways. So you can help them with mainly 4 ways. Number 1, with food. Number 2, with clothes. Number 3, with residences. Number 4, with medications, right? Then after that, cleaning the public places like temple, and there are schools like that, cleaning the public spaces and providing monetary and material help. So whenever you clean this place, even you don't have to arrange 10-15 seats, but still whatever seats that you're in, when you are arranging, you are practicing you are doing an act of loving kindness, right? So then after that, making places for the people to rest, right? Building facilities for the people to read, that means libraries. And then after that, building wells or places where people can drink water. So here we can't see such kind of places, but in Asia, I know we have some. So such kind of places. And then thinking that the people will get benefit. So not for you, for the people to get benefit, planting trees that can grow good fruits, right? On the both sides of the road. So here you can't do like that, but at your space, if you like, you can do that. So right. So and building roads, right? Building building reservoirs, and then so whenever you go on the road, let's say there may be glass, right? There may be thorns. Buddha only mentioned here thorns. So whatever the obstacles that you have, removing them. Some people just look at that and they just go on their way, and some come and step on that and get injured. Sometimes there even the banana leaf. So the outer layer of a banana, we see that when we go. Another person who comes after us step on that, and that person slips and get injured. So you can remove these things. Don't cost any money, right? And then so building houses for poor people, homeless people, and then helping when there is a wedding, when there is a funeral, when such kind of things are happening, helping them physically. So they are acts of loving kindness. There are many. I just told the things that you can do every day. So physical acts of loving kindness. Then vocal acts of loving kindness, right? So whenever you talk with the others, if you talk respectful, so you have to understand those people's culture, and according to that culture, respectfully you talk, right? So if it is a person from the Western culture, you talk as Mr., Mrs. like that. So there are sir, madam, like that, right? So in Eastern culture, it's totally different, right? Whenever you meet someone, you have names: elder brother, younger brother, aunt, uncle, like that. That's a totally different way. Somehow, according to that culture, you have to talk respectful, right? That's a practice act of vocal loving kindness. So vocal act of loving kindness. And then then according to the person's status, so talking respectful. And then so talking words, so which are soft, which are nice, which are kind, which can console the other people, which can bring peace and happiness to that particular person. So these are vocal acts of loving kindness. And at the same time, advising the other people out of loving kindness. That is also an act of loving kindness. Sometimes we can see certain people, but you have to check the person. There are certain people who like to get advices. There are certain people who get furious. You have to be careful. Somehow, if you not to show that you are great, but to correct that particular person. If you advise out of loving kindness, if you show the fault, then that's an act of loving kindness. And then whatever dhamma that you learn, sharing with the others. So sometimes I heard certain sentences that I stored here. So some meditators, they went to the office, and when those so friends are in trouble, they share those words. So sometimes they share just one sentence. Everything is impermanent. When they are in trouble, they change, right? So like that, sharing the Dhamma, vocal, thinking that may the other person be well and happy. And then, so whenever someone is doing something wrong, vocally telling them how to do that. That's also a vocal act of loving kindness. So you can let your jealousy go away and you can practice that loving kindness. And then, so whenever you see some kind of good quality in a good person, so without hesitating, saying that, so appreciating that, that's also vocal act of loving kindness. When someone wants a good doctor, good worker, or so good seller, good trader. So if you know, telling about such kind of people, introducing them, vocal. And then when they are going in the wrong track, so then telling them don't do that. So that's way, that's a scamming. So don't do that. Don't follow. So stopping them from going in the wrong direction. So like that, there are many. So later on, if I have time, I'll compile them and okay, then you can practice. Then those are vocal parts. And what are the mental? So mental acts of loving kindness. Whenever you see someone smiling and thinking, smiling, so with the thought that may this person be happy. And so, glancing at a particular person, thinking, may this person be comfortable, may this person not suffer, right? That is also a mental act of loving kindness. So then, as a group, so taking people as a group or as one individual, sharing your love. Those are mental acts of loving kindness. So you can do this, and you can develop loving kindness as a perfection gradually. So so gradually, so at first loving kindness will come as and sparkle. Then please add fuel, and gradually let it grow, and find at the end. So meanwhile, not at the end, when the more it grows, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with everyone that you associate with, right? So with those thoughts, let me finish. And so everyone please think together too. all of us gathered here and practiced this wonderful loving kindness meditation and accumulated a lot of positive energy. We share this positive energy, first of all, with all the sick people in the world. May they gain this positive energy. May they recover very soon. May this positive energy be with all of us. By the power of this positive energy, may no harm come to us. May all the good things happen to us. And may we have a long life with beauty, mental and physical comfort, strength and wisdom, and practicing this noble non-sectarian Dhamma path. May all of us attain real peace, real happiness, Nibbana. With those thoughts, everyone, please join your palms and concentrate. Abhivadana silisse nityang vaddapachayino Chattaro dhamma vaddanti ayuvanno sukhang balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevati ato nibbana sampatti iminate samijjato. May you all be well. May you all be happy. May you all be very, very peaceful. Sukhi hotu. Good night to everyone. See you all in the next week. Sukhi hotu. Right. Good night, Mr. Howard.
Good night to you. Thank you so much, Bante.
May you be happy, Mr. Howard. Good night, Jaime.
Hi, Bante. Thank you very much.
Good night. May you be happy. Thank you so much. Good night, Mrs. Pragati.
Good night, Bante. Thank you so much.
May you be happy. May you be happy, Rahul. May you be happy.